What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, bringing you the number 4, lucky number 4, 4-leaf clover, C4 podcast, number 4, things that go good with 4s, bitches and hoes, goddamn, I don't know, tires on a car. Also, 4 episodes of the C4 podcast, so thank you guys for tuning in. I'd like to thank Muttbucks for being our first and only sponsor. Probably will only ever be our only sponsor, unless MeUndies wants to hit me up. What you're going to get in this podcast, slightly different format. We've done 3 episodes before. Really, the only other popular one was when we did our top 100 players, kind of in conjunction with the NFL's official top 100 players. And I got some pretty good feedback. But we continue. I need to get feedback because this is going to, really live off of you guys. It takes me a bunch of time to dedicate and set aside to make this video, which I have no problem doing whatsoever. I'm going to set the feedback view goal of around 3,000. And for these videos here, my average Madden content video gets anywhere between 4,000 if it's not doing that great to 10,000 views. I feel we get around 3,000 to 4,000 per view. This will happen every Thursday with a very similar format. But what you guys want to see after watching this, feel free to let me know what you want to see. If you want to see different discussions, if you want to see different format, anything like that, and everything in between, I'm certainly open to changing it. Essentially, what we're going to do is talk about college football, NFL football, fantasy football, and finish up with your questions. The number one thing that I personally want to do is to timestamp it, because I know not every topic we're going to talk about is going to be interesting to every user. So I figure, at least in the video description, if I can timestamp each individual topic, that may make the viewing and listening experience for you guys just that much more enjoyable. So I'm going to try to get off my lazy ass and do that at some point today. Why am I doing this podcast? Well, I feel that it fills the need of multiple other videos that I've tried in years past. Every week during the last 2 football seasons or so, I release a pick'ems video for college football, a pick'ems video for NFL football, discussion video on college, on pro, and then a fantasy football relevant video. That's just too much to keep up with all of my Madden and NCAA and all that kind of content, the rebuilds, the career revival rebuilds. It's just too much. But if I could condense that all into one little format, have it come out every Thursday, which is a nice little day, gets you ready for the Thursday night game. We can recap everything that was the week of football before. Thursday is the perfect day. And I don't really have anything scheduled for Thursday. Every other day roughly has a theme. Like on Mondays, you get Mondays. On Wednesdays, I'm going to make that the day that you get your career rebuilds or career mode videos. On Fridays, it's always been, that's the day that you get the realistic rebuilds. That's always going to be a thing. And then you have the connected franchise mode sprinkled in on other days. So then I figured, every Thursday, great day to do a podcast. But, like I said, if this doesn't catch on, there's going to be no hard feelings from my end. Even though I do get great enjoyment of doing this. But yeah, it's just condensing the videos into one big, topic of discussion. So that being said, 3 minutes in, let's jump into the very first thing that we're going to talk about, and that is recapping the first week of college football. Now, a big thing is, I really hope that people that watch my channel, if you're not into college football, by watching the kind of content that I do produce and what I talk about in my live streams or even in my videos, will get you to watch college football, because I firmly believe that college football is a better product than what you get in NFL. Someone asked me on my live stream almost all the time, it feels like, would you rather watch college football or the NFL? And if it was this way, if the Eagles played on Thursday night, and then you would say that college football moved to Sunday, I would watch all the college football games before I watch the NFL games. It's just the whole, it might be their last opportunity, especially for the seniors. A lot of people that are playing are never going to play football again. So they're giving it all, everything they got, everything's balls to the wall, because this is it, man. This is before they have to, go back to school, get a real job, graduate, all that stuff. This is their time to live out their dreams. And then on top of that, it's the whole one and you're done. Really, if you want aspirations, you're on a big team, you don't want to lose a single game, or else your likelihood of making it to the college football playoff is gone. So every game means something, and you can never count out a team. You're down 30 points. Look at what happened, UCLA versus Texas A&M. If that was the NFL, the team would be like, all right, well, let's just, let's pop up shop, pull our starters, make sure we can stay healthy, and look forward to next week. That doesn't happen in college football. You need to go balls to the wall every single game. And the fact that pretty much any game is never over in college football makes it must-watch TV. And another thing is people like C4, when scouting comes, you know, usually at the end of the football season, we start talking about the draft. We hit the draft real hard last year here on the channel. They're like, how do you know so much about college football? Well, here's just a list of the games that I watched during the first week of college football. Oregon State versus Colorado State. South Florida versus San Jose State, Ohio State versus Indiana, Michigan versus Florida, Penn State versus Akron, Wyoming versus Iowa, Texas versus Maryland, Cal versus North Carolina, USC versus Western Michigan, Liberty versus Baylor, Bama versus Florida State, Howard versus UNLV, BYU versus LSU, Texas A&M versus UCLA, Virginia Tech versus West Virginia, and Tennessee versus Georgia Tech, which you guys, if you tuned into the Monday stream, we watched most of that in the background. We're reacting to it and stuff like that. Those are all the games I watched in week number 1. That is an unhealthy amount of college football to watch. But like I said, I love it, man. I truly do love it. If you haven't picked up that for watching my channel for however long that has been, that I'm a diehard football fan, that is what I watched. And from what I don't really like to commentate on things that I didn't personally watch. I don't like taking secondhand information because it could be from a biased source. So I like to really talk about what I saw. So here are my 5 talking points from week number 1 from what I have personally seen. Number 5 comes from the Ohio State versus Indiana game, which was a lot closer than people expected. Simi Cobbs, the wide receiver for Indiana, looks legit as shit. Looks like a mini Mike Evans. I would absolutely love to have him on Philly if he's there in the 4th, 5th round. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that's going to test particularly well. Probably have a slow 40 time. Maybe the same kind of range as like a Juju Smith-Schuster 3rd, 4th round. Hello, Philly. Call him Howie. But the main takeaway from that is Ohio State's defense looks shaky as shit. They threw the ball so many times, Indiana. So many times. Usually a team that looked like they, historically, at least in my opinion, their team likes to run the ball. They threw the ball so many times. And that Ohio State defense who lost, you lost your starting safety. You lost your two starting corners, Marshawn Lattimore, Garyon Conley's gone, Malik Hooker's gone, just to name a few. They did not look good. They have Denzel Ward, too. He's a guy that's, supposed to be on a lot of teams' draft boards. He did not look overly impressive. From what you can tell about Ohio State, I think they're going to struggle. I would have Ohio State penciled in as one of my 4 playoff teams before it started. Now, man, I'm not so sure, especially when they play the likes of Penn State, who are going to air the ball out as much as Indiana and have much more talented playmakers. You got Michigan. I don't even want to talk about Michigan after what happened in that game. But that defense is going to need to rely on that front 7. You got Jerome Baker, really good linebacker. Tyquan Lewis is a beast. Nick Bosa's good. Sam Hubbard's good. Their front 7 is good, but I'm really worried about that back end, especially when they go up against some of the other teams that are going to cause them some trouble. So if I'm a Ohio State fan, I am a little bit worried. I think there's only so much weight you could put into the fact that every Indiana wide receiver was like 6'4". I think a lot of it you need to come back, have a little self-reflection, if you will. And realize that your defense, it just happens. It's the nature of the game. If your team gets absolutely pillaged during the draft, you're going to have a down year. And I think it's going to be a down year for that Ohio State secondary. Number 4 is University of Florida needs to fire offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier. Absolutely 100% need to happen yesterday. That was the worst game I've ever watched Florida play. And at least in relation to my expectations from the offense. We were told Felipe Franks looked great, and if he didn't, Malik Zaire, the transfer from Notre Dame, was going to look good. They both looked shit. We ran the ball for maybe 5 yards, and it was like the Madden. It was like Madden. Run, pass. Run, pass. Bubble screen. Run, bubble screen. Run, like the same plays over and over again. Offensive line was horrendous, and we were told all offseason that our offensive line was going to be one of the strengths of our team. We have Jawan Taylor, guy that's going to get drafted high. TJ McCoy, the center, a guy that's, everyone assumed was going to get drafted high. Martez Ivey, 1st-round draft pick maybe. Didn't see that at all. Everything about that was terrible, and I think right now either Doug Nussmeier needs to go or Coach McElwain needs to go back to calling plays because Michigan, outside of the 2 pick sixes, and if you're following me on Twitter, which if you're not, you absolutely should be, at beastmode_TV, we got hype. We got real hype during those pick sixes. But then when it came time for our offense to do something, it was embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing. This was my birthday weekend. I wanted to sit back and enjoy and watch, even though with all the suspensions, no Antonio Callaway, no Jordan Scarlett, I really wanted to see Florida beat Michigan. Because Michigan, they lost 10 stars on defense. No more Jabril Peppers. You know, they got Rashawn Gary. All right, so be it. No one else there. Offensively, Wilson Speight sucks. Wilson Speight's not a good player. They don't really have, they had a run game. That's about it. Still, they may, Florida. I feel so bad for Florida's defense. The last couple, we haven't had a good QB. I guess you could say Will Grier, but ultimately we haven't had a good QB since Tim Tebow. And the fact that a school as big as Florida has been struggling so bad from, Urban Meyer leaving us high and dry, the terrors of the Will Muschamp era. And now here, we're supposed to get an offensive mastermind in Jim McElwain, the kind of offensive coach that young players, quarterbacks in particular, want to come play for. I mean, unless Matt Corral is something special, is not looking good here right now. I'm not ready to give up on Felipe Franks. He has the tangibles, the size, the skill set that you want to see in a quarterback. But right now, I'm not overly optimistic. And I think, first and foremost, you got to make a change on that offense, because what we've seen over the last 2 years in particular has been unacceptable. There's only so much you can throw on Treon Harris before you need to look back at the offensive coordinator. He needs to go. Number 3 is Josh Allen, Wyoming's quarterback. A lot of, some, depending on what scouting website you're looking at, he's the top quarterback in this year's draft class. He fell flat in his debut performance for the nation. Not a lot of people would have been watching a lot of Wyoming games. Me personally, that was the first game I've ever watched live of him. Terrible. Everyone talked about his big arm and stuff. Looked like Alex Smith with a torn rotator cuff. No throw power whatsoever. And I understand that some of this falls onto his teammates, but, I mean, he needs to shine. He needs to shine. You're going against Iowa. That's probably one of the better defenses he's going to face this entire year, and he fell flat so bad. Right on his damn face. Looks like he took a nosedive after he gripped the front brake of his bike so hard. It was really, really bad. Falling flat. I wasn't impressed at all. And I know he was like, to the more advanced, edgier hipster scouts that think they know better than everyone, they're like, oh, Josh Allen's going to suck. Trust me. I don't know why everyone's so high on him. He's going to be the next fucking, Matt Barkley or something like that. He looks like it, man. I was not I didn't see anything impressive of Josh Allen. I mean, and that's the thing. You can watch him go against some team that no one ever fucking heard of and go off and have a good game. That's all well and good. But this Iowa, this would have been the perfect opportunity. Going against maybe the best defense he'll play all year. Opening week, all eyes on him. I'm just glad Philly doesn't need to draft a QB anymore. I'm glad with Carson Wentz. Growing pains aside with Wentz, looking at the available QBs, Number 2, Florida State overhyped. Watching all of the college game day. I like watching pregame. I know, you look at a comedian like Bill Burr, absolutely despises watching the pregames for anything. I like watching them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure of mine. But everyone was picking Florida State in this game against Alabama. And I was like, are they crazy? I would have bet. I'm not a big bettor. I bet here and there. I would have bet the house on Alabama to win that game. Alabama, outside of Derwin James, who is one player, I think Alabama was better than Florida State at every facet of the game. They have a better offensive line. They have a better run game. They have a better quarterback. They have better wide receivers. They have a better defensive line. They have a better front seven. They have a better secondary overall. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick is not that far off Derwin James in terms of a prospect. And some people, depending on the scout, might actually have Minkah Fitzpatrick ahead of Derwin James, at least for transitioning to the next level. I personally don't. I think Derwin James, really, really good. Not as good as Jalen Ramsey, but pretty damn close. Alabama is better. They rolled Florida State. Now, the big storyline from that, not only is Florida State taking that L on opening week, is DeAndre Francois is done. Now, he took a big hit, nasty knee injury. I think it was patella tendon or something like that. I mean, Florida State's done. They are absolutely done. I don't want to say that it makes me feel good as a Gator fan, but I know that now, even though whoever they have at quarterback is probably still better than whatever quarterback we have with Nussmeier calling the plays, we have a chance now against Florida State. But now I think the big talking point is the ACC. The ACC is now wide open. Florida State, as much as I thought they were a little bit overrated, they were still the big dogs there in the ACC. Now it's looking like, it's going to be probably Virginia Tech in the U versus the winner between Clemson and Louisville. I think those are the big four right now with Florida State on the mix. I don't think that's more the talking point. I think Hurricanes are better than Virginia Tech. I really like Rozier, their quarterback. I think he's very impressive. They have a good run game there with Mark Walton and a hard-hitting defense. Plus, they have that crazy. You see that thing on the sideline during the Miami game? The guy, like the huge gold chain. That's an easy way to get an NCAA investigation, like a solid gold chunk chain. Jesus. But Clemson vs. Louisville is going to be good. I don't know. I wish I knew right now if they were going to play. I assume they play at some point this year. But seeing Clemson, who, even with the loss of Deshaun Watson, some of those playmakers still look like they haven't lost a step, and they may have the best defensive line in the country. And then you got Louisville, who has Lamar Jackson, who, has already shown after 1 week he's still one of the most electrifying players and definitely has a chance to repeat as a Heisman Trophy winner. But ACC's wide open now with Florida State with DeAndre Francois. They have a freshman quarterback stepping in. He's big and lanky, and that's pretty much the only positives I can say about it. And the last talking point, it has to be talking about Josh fucking Rosen. Rosen, the chosen one. One of the best comebacks. Like, this game here is the epitome of why I love college football. Not only is it unpredictable, not only is it seeing, the future stars right before our eyes. Rosen's going to go on to the NFL, be a great quarterback. You can't count out a team. You can never count out a team. Team like UCLA, they weren't ranked, but they're definitely a team that has aspirations if they can win enough games that they have the amount of opponents in their upcoming schedule that if they win the right amount of games, they can certainly have their way into the Final Four. It'd be a little bit of a long shot, but if they can ride Josh Rosen, they can absolutely ride Josh Rosen to a championship berth. And, I mean, losing that game, there was another question. Josh Rosen, 491 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. They were down, 30-something points? They were 44-10 or something crazy like that. Basically, Josh Rosen, 28 points in the fourth quarter unanswered for UCLA to win 45-44. Epic game. I stress all you guys, even if you're not a fan of college football, you could probably find condensed highlights or something like that on YouTube. Go out and watch that game. It was awesome. I turned it off. I personally was like, all right, I saw the first half scoreline. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch West Virginia and Virginia Tech. That game was really close. That game was actually a really good game. But I was more interested to see how Will Grier was doing, and he looked pretty damn good. It makes me sad to be a Gator fan. Wish we had a QB like Will Grier. I cry every time. But I turned back to that game just in the right amount of time. I think I turned it back on. So UCLA eventually went on a 28-0 run before they won the game. I think I turned it on after 14 of that 28, so I came in a little bit late, but I still got all the drama. They had the Dan Marino fake spike to win the game. Oh, so awesome. And everything on that drive, too. It wasn't like UCLA in that final drive to get the touchdown was just steamrolling them. Like, they had some third down conversions, some bad drops, fourth down conversions. Everything that encompasses a dramatic drive was in that game, and everything about that game kind of goes back to the very first point I talked about college football. It just makes it so great, man. I fucking love it. Because that was the pros, 44-10. You're pulling your starters. You're getting ready to burn that tape and get ready for the next week and just forget about it. But you just can't do that in college. So that was awesome. Huge game for Rosen. Beast. Absolute beast. Stay tuned. Maybe there's going to be something that comes out tomorrow on a rebuild that may feature a quarterback from UCLA. Who knows? Stay tuned for that. We're going to finish up this little segment here on college football. For week number 1, I think we're going to make this a staple if we continue this. Looking at my Heisman shortlist. And week number 1 is probably the least amount of weight you could put behind one because I personally want to base it off what you did for me. Obviously, some players could make it for reputation alone. But really with the first week, it's what did you do for me. So here are my top 5 for the Heisman after 1 week. At number 5, we're going Taquan Marshall, the I don't know if you want to call him a quarterback, just the offensive player from Georgia Tech. He had 120 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks, but he also had 249 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. I mean, it's got to take something special. He's going to have something better than like Keenan Reynolds while he was at Army, Navy. I want to say he was at Navy. It's going to be really tough, but anytime you put up that kind of stat line, almost 250 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns, I mean, shit. If he can get somehow, the pace that he's setting, if he can even average 2 to 3 rushing touchdowns a game, and have the occasional 4 to 5, if he gets 35 rushing touchdowns, something crazy like that, which is unheard of, who knows? He looked really good, though. He looked better than Keenan Reynolds, looked kind of like a combination between Reynolds and Nick Marshall while he was at Auburn. Pretty damn impressive, though, to be honest with you. Good athlete. He's really undersized. He's not going to make it anywhere in the NFL as a quarterback. I think he's like 5'9", like $150. That's exaggerating, but something really, really small. But definitely, you can't leave him off the Heisman shortlist. Number 4, we're going Royce Freeman, the running back from Oregon. 150 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns on the day. He's definitely an outside candidate to be one first-round running back. I definitely know most people assume it's going to be Saquon Barkley and Darius Geis, as it should be. But I think that third running back spot is totally up to grabs, and it definitely could be Royce Freeman's. He's what you look for. He's like 235 pounds at running back, power guy, but also has a good set of hands on him. Kind of similar to the size and attributes of like a Zeke Elliott. He's a guy that personally I can't attest to his pass protection. To be honest with you, probably doesn't have to get asked a whole lot at Oregon. But I like the size. I'm very intrigued with the prospect of Royce Freeman. That's why he's coming at number 4. Number 3 is Baker Mayfield, the quarterback for Oklahoma. He went 19 of 20 for 329 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Like damn near perfect QBR. Undersized, has the off the field issues, But Oklahoma is a legit contender for every game that he is in there for them. And I look forward to watching. He's one of the most exciting. He probably is, like, he's just a better version of Trace McSorley at Penn State. Both those guys are kind of like the wild card, if you will. Like, they're going to throw you some pretty bad interceptions because they're just gunslinging it, but they're also going to make plenty of memorable moments. A little bit undersized, you know, trying to look at him as a pro quarterback, but very exciting to watch in college. I look forward to see what he can do for the rest of the year. Number 2, I'm going Lamar Jackson, quarterback from Louisville. 378 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, to go along with 107 rush yards and a touchdown. I just had a gut feeling that from what he said in interviews and stuff like that, he wants to throw the ball. He wants to establish himself as a pocket passer, and I think that's absolutely the right call. I don't know if he has an agent already and he's telling him to do that, but Lamar Jackson, I think, can, like, right now everyone's just like, Lamar Jackson in the NFL, not going to happen. He's got to be some other position. He can't play the pros and stuff like that. Tell you right now, if Josh Dobbs, the rookie QB from Tennessee that's on the Steelers, if he can make it as a quarterback in the NFL, there is no chance in hell why Lamar Jackson can't. Lamar Jackson is a better pocket passer than Josh Dobbs. And I think really you already saw by the amount of times he was standing in the pocket and throwing the ball down deep that this year he really wants to prove to scouts and everyone that he can be a pocket passer. And if he can legitimately develop as a pocket passer, he is the fastest quarterback I've ever seen. And his scrambling, like, obviously the only thing that sucks is he's a little bit undersized. I think he's only like 215 pounds, and then you have the whole thing. If he does bulk up, he might lose some of that speed. But, I mean, at that kind of frame, it's going to be like an RG3 situation if he tries to run and scramble too much in the pros. But that's for another story. If he can develop a pocket passing game, that's going to be scary. That's going to be a Madden created character come to life. And the number 1, first spot in the Heisman, it's going to Josh Rosen. 491 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks in that 45-44 comeback victory against Texas A&M. Not only is the stat line very impressive, but you know, I think for Heisman Trophy winners, it seems to be almost a separating factor is which one of the, like, if you have 3 guys that are all pretty close, which one of those guys had that, like, Heisman defining moment? You know what I'm saying? Like, the one moment where, okay, they didn't just pad their stats and go off against every team. What was the one time maybe they faced adversity and through grit and the intangibles were they able to will their team on? And that game already, week 1 is a great starting point here for Josh Rosen. Unbelievable comeback victory. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a big fan of Josh Rosen. I was, not that I never doubted his talent, I definitely thought that he was gonna be good, but I thought losing a year of development last year due to injury was really gonna affect his development. And what I saw him in out there was absolutely first overall pick, top QB right now on the board, and top guy in my Heisman rankings. So there you go. That is pretty much everything that encompassed college football week number 1. Next thing we're going to do a little bit quicker is I quickly want to break through college football week number 2, matchups you guys should try to watch. Obviously, you saw the mass amount of games that I watched in week number 1. Here are the top 5 that I'm going to go, make sure I go to my way to watch. A lot of them are just featuring, it's easy. It's not like I'm finding nuggets for you. It's all the ranked teams that you're going to try to watch and see, as well as throwing in some predictions, things I may want to see. So the number 5, these aren't in an exact order either. Just 5 games you need to watch, not like the top 5 or anything. Number 17, Louisville going up against North Carolina, University of North Carolina, the Tar Heels. Competitive game, definitely going to be a much improved defense for Lamar Jackson to go up against. I'm taking Louisville in this game. Oh, surprise, he's taking the ranked team. But again, man, the big thing in this is Lamar Jackson still going to stay in the pocket? Is he going to throw for 350, 400 yards again? Is he going to keep his eyes locked downfield rather than scrambling? The kind of things that I think he wants to do and to show off to scouts. Obviously, there's going to be a bunch of scouts every game. Even though he may not declare, he may want to come back for another year, which may be in his best interest. I don't know. But definitely I want to see against a much, North Carolina's defense. They're no pushovers. It's going to be a good test for him. I want to see that in particular. Is he going to try to stay in the pocket and become and develop as a pocket passer, or when times get tough, is he just going to take off and run because he's probably fast? He's probably the fastest player on the field in that game. Number 4 is number 13 Auburn going up against number 3 Clemson. In this game, I'm taking Clemson. This game will be closer, I definitely think, than a lot of people think, because I do believe Jarrett Stidham, the transfer from, I think, Baylor, now at Auburn, he's a pretty damn good quarterback. Cameron Petway, I think he'll be back from suspension. He was suspended for the opener. Very talented power back. But I think Clemson can handle the run, and I think, everyone was kind of worried about, is Bryant going to be able to live up to the shoes that Deshaun Watson left when he decided to declare after, Deshaun Watson, probably the best quarterback in Clemson history. Who else was good? Taj Boyd. Pass. But Clemson looked legit. They were very impressive. Good run game. TJ Logue. Oh, that's not him. TJ, I can't remember the name of the running back off the top of my head. He was really, really good. Very impressive. Good size. Good speed. But I think Clemson's going to win that one against Auburn. But anytime we play an SEC team with a good defense, it can cause some issues. So this game will be closer than I think a lot of people expect. But definitely go on your way to watch it. Number 3 is going to be probably the marquee matchup I would think of the week. Number 2, Ohio State going up against number 5, Oklahoma. Going against my gut. My gut says take Ohio State. My gut says Ohio State game plans away. They got Urban Meyer to win this game. But what I saw against Indiana, I see, magnified times 10. Baker Mayfield, if Ragnow, I think, is the quarterback from Indiana, if he can torch that Ohio State secondary like that, what is Baker Mayfield going to do? I think Oklahoma, on paper, Ohio State is better. More often, they're a more balanced team, but I just see Oklahoma having more game changers, if you will. I think Baker Mayfield will probably be able to take over that game and win. My heart is saying Oklahoma. I'm going with Oklahoma, but my gut is still, go Ohio State. Take the safe pick, Ohio State. It's one of those things where, I almost want it to become true. I almost want to just take Ohio State. Everything is saying Ohio State. I'm going to watch this game and think, when I was recording the podcast, why the fuck did I just say Ohio State? Watch JT Barrett have a bounce back game. I don't know. Fuck it. We're going Oklahoma. We're going Oklahoma on this one. Number 2 games, number 15, Georgia, going up against number 24, Notre Dame. I'm going with the underdog here, number 24, Notre Dame, just because Georgia's starting quarterback Jason Eason going to be out for the game. So they're going from, I'm going to be honest, who the hell's that, as their starting QB. And I think Notre Dame's pretty much all right, well, we're just going to make sure that Nick Chubb and Sony Michel can't run the ball. And we're going to, we have a good offensive line, really good offensive line in Notre Dame. They have 2 offensive linemen, Mike McGlinchey and Quentin Brown, probably both going to be first-round picks or close to first-round picks. I think Notre Dame will control the clock. They'll stop the run and edge out a victory. So I'm going with the dog in that ball game. And the number 1 is number 14, Stanford, going up against number 6, USC. I'm taking USC in this one. No surprise. I think Darnold's going to have himself a nice game. Didn't have a bad game opening week against Western Michigan, even though, the fact that Western Michigan was in that game as much as they were could raise some eyebrows. But I think Darnold's going to have himself a nice little bounce-back game. Stanford, looking at Stanford as a whole, Bryce Love's a pretty talented running back, but outside of that, and a decent offensive line, I don't think Keller Christ is that great of a quarterback. Their defense is not bad. Stanford usually has a pretty solid defense, but their defense is not good enough to shut down all the weapons on USC. The fact they got Ronald Jones, real good running back. You got Deontay Burnett at wide receiver. You got some playmakers there. I think USC rolls this one. USC is looking pretty damn good. I think the only team that's going to stop USC in the Pac-12 right now, in my opinion, is Washington, because Washington has a very legit defense. But all those games, guys, definitely go to your way to try to watch them, try to tune in, and tell them your boy C4 sent you. Last thing to talk about within the college football realm is a polarizing topic. Is, the thing that was all over social media, the college football video game. Now, this is a very important thing because it's going to be a hot take about something that's within the YouTube community and stuff like that. Basically, when I saw this thing, someone tweeted at me. I was like, what the fuck? Literally, all I watched was a video. It was on my phone. It was grainy. I was like, oh, shit. All right, I see the PlayStation logo. I see some football players. The more that's come out is everyone just said it's hype for college football to be watched on the PlayStation View. I have no idea what that is, but I assume it's some sort of streaming service. PlayStation does sponsor bowl games, so there is that tie there. Plenty of clickbait on YouTube. Ugh, I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I'm no better than some people. I thought, I was like, man, should I make a video on this? Get in on the views. But some of the people, this is one of those things when a topic like this comes out, you should be able to sort through, who's a good YouTuber and who is just a shitty clickbait guy. So, yeah, Clickbait City on YouTube, that was pretty lame. But, yeah, it definitely was. There was a little tease, I think, from the commercial. I think the way they designed it was to make a tease. I don't necessarily, if this is something that, because it was trending, it might bring light to EA that there is a demand for this football game if they weren't already, aware of it. I don't think they're oblivious to the fact that there is a demand for a college football game. But also, come on. There's not everything about that commercial didn't lead me to believe that there was going to be a college football game. It was interesting that there was college in a console. I guess that's the connection, that they didn't make it just more college football is on the View. They made it look like, subtle. They're vague in certain areas. But, come on. There's nothing there. Which leads me to believe my ending point on this topic is, what is my take on the future of the college football game? I get asked this question a lot. I'm definitely not one of the bigger NCAA guys on YouTube, even though I've just been sprinkling in it. And also, shout out to Parent Crow. Go check out the Banana Slugs. That's definitely one of the dope series that are on right now. But my take on it, I definitely think it's coming back. I've made the bold prediction. I think by 2020, 2021, we'll get another college football game. Reason why is, like, there's no real reason why EA still has the servers up for NCAA 14. Realistically, if this lawsuit was that big of a deal, they probably would have been forced to shut down these servers, or if they would have, I don't know if there's any, what the legality terms are or anything, but it just seems kind of odd that for Xbox 360, for a game that's fucking, what, 5 years old now? It's not that old. 2013, 14, 15, 16, going on almost 5 years, the servers are still up. That's pretty rare. I mean, some Call of Duty servers are still up, but for EA, usually they seem like, you know, they're gone, but they're still up for NCAA. So I think there's might be something to read into there. The fact that they're still, like, keeping this game alive, that they understand. At least the worst thing that you could take from that is they still understand there's a big community that like to play that game, so they're leaving it online. Definitely the demand is high. I remember, like, Snoop Dogg used to tweet that they want to bring this game. I'd even just be happy, like, if they say there's no way it's ever going to happen again, just make it reverse compatible on Xbox. That's not going to open up any new cases, any new lawsuits. Just make it easy for everyone that, at least on the Xbox, that has migrated. Like, that's the only reason why I have my Xbox 360 still hooked up, is so I can play that game. Making it reverse compatible on the 360, I think would add more life to this game, rejuvenate it. And if you're already leaving the servers over, what's the point? You know, EA is a money-making business, and that would just print money, making that game reverse compatible. I personally, I don't know what it is. There's one side of me that says that there's a college football game that will come back. It's going to go to EA because they already have, you know, ties with negotiating rights, stuff like that. But then also, there's the side of me that thinks 2K would be the person to come in. 2K is like, well, you know, maybe we want to get back into football, but we can't get the negotiating rights with the NFL. It costs too much money. So then the easiest avenue, I think, for 2K to get back into a football game, we're not going to get a 2K5. You know, all us, myself in particular, loves the 2K5 football game as one of the best football games. We heralded it as like one of the best football games ever. I think if 2K wants to get back into football games, the cheaper avenue will be getting the rights from college football. And that would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. So maybe that's the avenue we go to get college football by 2021, something like that range. But that's the year I would set. If we don't get anything by that, I think the pipe dream is gone, and hope to God that the NCAA 14 servers are still up. And then the last thing is something I wasn't going to comment on, but then someone on Reddit made a post that I think people need to hear, because I get tweeted this all this time, that IMV gaming game that, you know, they have this damn thing where you give them money and they try to reach goals to make the game. Very ambitious. People have asked, hey man, we need your support on this. You need you to send your money. I mean, I have a kid. I don't have that kind of disposable income. Like if I was donating money to that, and, you know, versus buying my kid something like a toy, I can't make that, you know, difference in money. And I don't, you know, I think it's Flemloro he's a big YouTuber, well, big-ish. He's both the same size as me. But he's like one of the guys that's behind it. I don't want to say anything overly negative and make it seem like, oh, he's shooting fire. You gotta watch this. He's shooting fire at you and stuff. But I definitely think that with a lot of people donating money, they need to understand what this guy posted here on Reddit, because everything he says makes a lot of sense to me, and it's kind of what I felt the entire time, except put way better. So I'm going to read it word for word here. Credit goes to Bacani Draco on the college football Reddit, CFB Reddit. So it's in relation, everyone knows. If you don't know what it is, IMV Gaming is like a startup company that basically wants to try to raise as much money as possible to bring back college football. They're understanding the demand from the market. They want to bring it up. You probably see plenty of videos of it on YouTube. I've been skeptical, but I haven't been able to elaborate and explain why I'm skeptical properly. And this guy here just sums it up perfectly. So here we go. So in relation to everything about IMV, and supposedly they signed on with Big Ant Studios, an actual studio, to make this game, he pretty much goes into everything about why this won't work. So here we go. They posted this about a week ago, and there are several major issues. This is a continued effort of two guys who already had a Kickstarter that didn't take off well. While their persistence is admirable, they are a long ways off from making anything viable. Neither of them appear to have any experience with either software development or running a company. The company, IMV Gaming, they partnered with Big Ant Studios, and they appear to have successfully created a few sport games for rugby, cricket, and lacrosse. It sounds like Big Ant has agreed to make the game with IMV Gaming. Read, they agreed to make the game for IMV Gaming if IMV Gaming can raise $2.5 million. Holy! They're trying to crowdfund initial amount of money, about $850,000, of which they have currently raised $65,000, with another $150,000 expected from reoccurring payments, which may, kind of accrue over a long period of time. I don't want to downplay the effort to do something cool here. Absolutely, that is my take too. I think that while I think it's kind of scammy and I would never encourage anyone to donate money, their ambition is admirable, and if they did ever make a game, I absolutely would probably support it if it's not asked. But IMV Gaming is essentially the producer of this title, and they have only raised 2.6% of the funds necessary just to make the game. On top of that, the game isn't expected to be licensed come launch, but will feature 126 fully customizable generic schools to utilize in games. Players will be able to edit schools, uniforms, players, stadiums, and more in order to tailor the college football experience to their liking. AKA, they're going to make everything generic, and they're going to be up to the community to really develop all the actual real colleges and stuff like that. They're going to make it, super customizable. This isn't a minor thing. Playing as your favorite team is the reason why people want to buy this game. They seem to be relying on the community to create fan content of actual teams, stadiums, and players. But if they make it too easy / encourage it, it will not pass the legal smell test, if you will, and they absolutely will get sued by the NCAA and all of the NCAA schools if it takes off. In addition to having no engineering / management experience, they don't appear to have any legal experience or retained counsel either. Additionally, these are already fan mods. There are already fan mods for NFL games from studios with large budgets to make them compatible for college football. I'd imagine this would be a considerably better and easier experience for most. So that pretty much is where I see it. I can't see, I don't want to go too much. Like I said, it's not really taking shots or anything crazy like that. But I'm very skeptical. I don't really see the way that they're trying to approach to make this game not scammy. I'm going to say that I'm a little bit misinformed. I don't know everything. And the bottom line, I guess the final talking point would be, on the positive note, that if this does come to fruition, I'm not going to knock them for their hustle. I'm not going to knock them for their ambition. And if they do make a game, I'll probably play it. But everything else that comes to making the game, I don't think their approach is going to work. I just don't see this thing ever coming to fruition. And I don't know, do they pay back all the money? Or do they take all the money everyone donated, they try to make it, and then if not, you're kind of shit out of luck. I don't know how that works, but I'm pretty sure your money's gone. I don't know. I don't want to make that my official statement because I don't know. You very well can say, oh, you get your money back, you get refunded. And if that's the case, then that's a little bit better. But that's my take on the IMV gaming video game and college football video game as a whole. So that does it for the college football section. We're already half hour into this thing. God damn, it's going to be a long one. Next up, we're going to talk about NFL Week 1, doing some previews, everything outside of the Eagles, obviously, because we will have an Eagles-specific video. We'll do some stardoms and situms for fantasy, and we got your questions to answer as we wrap up the podcast. I'm going to go get a drink, and we'll be right back. Hey, you still there? You still there? It's time to talk about the NFL now in the back end of this video, and, Week 1 is upon us. Week starts tonight with the Thursday night of the Chiefs against the Patriots. So what I've done is I looked through 10 games. I'm not going to necessarily give away my picks because we do have on NFL.com a pick'em league. You guys can join that. I think the winner, if you beat me, which is going to be incredibly tough. Hopefully by the time the season's done, we will have C4 merch. So I will send the winner overall a free t-shirt. And if the t-shirts aren't out by the time they win, I'm going to do like an IOU for a t-shirt. If you want the details for this, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll try to get you guys hooked up. Because obviously, quickly, the game's tonight. So yeah, we're going through the 10 games. I'm going to throw out my predictions, but more so trying to glimpse into the future. What I think is going to happen in this game to give my estimated result. So we're starting first, obviously, on Thursday, the Chiefs against the Patriots. I'm going with the Patriots. I just see it as, obviously, Kareem Hunt, the rookie running back. Patriots are going to shut him down. And what the Patriots do better than any team in the NFL is they find your one game changer and they take him out of the game. And as someone who in my big money league owns both Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill, they are both sitting on my bench this week as I think Bill Belichick finds a way to neutralize Tyreek Hill. I think they'll probably just make it so he has to run difficult routes, which I think his route tree is still kind of limited. He definitely needs to work on becoming a more well-rounded wide receiver, if you will. So I just think they're going to give him difficult things. He may have a big play on special teams or something like that, but I think as far as offensively is concerned, I think they will find a way to take Tyreek out of this game, and that really does limit that Kansas City Chiefs offense. So I take the Patriots. Now we have some upsets we're going to talk about throughout this. They're just, points, based off of Vegas, the Vegas odds. The first one is Baltimore against the Bengals. We're going in the upset with the Baltimore Ravens on the road. I think Cincinnati has one of the worst offensive lines in football, and the Ravens have one of the better front sevens in entire football. And what they are good at on defense is stopping the run. And I think, with all those running backs they have there, Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Hill, they're going to be all rendered ineffective. John Ross is out for that game. So, again, it's looking like that banged up Bengals passing attack. They're going to Brandon LaFell. You're going to have A.J. Green. That's it. A.J. Green might make a big play or so, but I think the Ravens are going to win this one in a grinding victory, which is an upset. So we're going against the grain. We have the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Detroit Lions. I'm going with the upset with the Lions at home. I think Amir Abdullah has a serviceable game against a weakened Arizona defense. No more Tony Jefferson. No more Calais Campbell. They're just... Who else they lost? I feel like I'm missing someone else that they lost off the top of my head. I just think that Detroit at home, the fact that I don't want to say that they're better defensively, but I think as far as offense is concerned, even though they lost Taylor Decker, their offensive line is a little bit weaker. I think Detroit's going to edge that game. I don't know what it is. It might be a shootout though. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going against the Houston Texans. We're going with the Texans in this one. Leonard Fournette is debuting versus one of the top front sevens in football. And my biggest thing with Leonard Fournette is the weakness of his offensive line, if he's going to be able to get that game established. Plus, you have the whole quarterback thing with Blake Bortles. Is he shit? Is he good? No one knows. Plus, we have the Savage God of the Texans. So roll with the Texans at home. Plus, they have a lot to play for with the whole flood stuff like that. I think it's going to be a very good environment. Next up, we have the Bucks against the Dolphins. I'm going with the Bucks. I think this game has shootout potential. My fantasy team this year ultimately rides on Jameis Winston, Mike Evans. That is my big money combination. And, everyone is expecting this to be an explosive Bucks offense. I'm prepared to be completely underwhelmed and see this game be just Jai taking over for the Dolphins. But I'm going to be rolling with the Bucks for right now. And they're actually favored to win that game, which is kind of surprising, be it the Dolphins made the playoffs a year ago. Plus, there's the unknown. Like, what is Jay Cutler going to look like? Next up, we have the Raiders against the Titans, in which, in my opinion, is the most intriguing game of the weekend. I'm going with the Titans. I figure, some of you guys probably would figure I would go with the Raiders. But I think with the Titans, man, this is first and foremost an excellent Week 1 game. And it's really who is the first one that's back truly to 100%. Derek Carr and Mariota, both coming off pretty much the same injury. I think at home, Tennessee's going to rely on that run game a little bit more. Even though the Raiders have a good offensive line and you have Marshawn Lynch now back, there's still some uncertainty with that run game. The run game is 100% intact for the Titans. So I just see, with the uncertainty of which QB's back, Mariota's going to be the more likely of the two to be able to rely on the run game, and he has nice new weapons. Where the Raiders, they added Cordero Patterson. Okay, kind of a wild card. In addition to Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree. You could throw in Jared Cook if you want. The Titans, Corey Davis, Eric Decker. They got a new tight end, Jonnu Smith. He's looking pretty damn good. So I'm gonna edge with the Titans in this one, but I cannot wait for that game. Next up, we have Seattle playing Green Bay. I'm going with Green Bay. I personally feel like everyone's excited about this game. I feel like it will end up just being a boring game, one between the trenches. Green Bay gets an Aaron Rodgers last drive touchdown, which might be exciting. But I think this is going to be a game more so than high scoring. It's going to be a lot of the other team canceling each other out. So, it's not going to be the best of games, but still interesting. Football's back. You can't complain. Next up, we have the Giants versus the Cowboys in prime time. Ew. I don't want to watch that. I'm going with the Giants, and it's an upset. I think the Zeke distraction plus the Giants they're healthy. They're not missing anyone. Everyone's going to be full strength. Brandon Marshall, new weapon. Evan Ingram, new weapon. The defining factor in this game for me, the Zeke thing's not going to be so bad because everyone knows it's the offensive line. Dan McFadden, it can be serviceable behind that offensive line. I think when you look at the Giants' weakness, it's their offensive line. And what is a weakness of the Cowboys? Being able to generate a pass rush. So I see the two shitty lines of both these teams canceling each other out, which means Eli Manning's going to be able to throw over a, average at best Dallas Cowboys secondary in this game. So that being said, we're going with the Giants in the upset. I don't know how they're not the favorites right now, but I guess Dallas being Dallas, they're popular and so on and so forth. So that's the primetime game. And looking forward to the two games on Monday. We have the Saints going up against the Vikings in AP's revenge game. And I'm actually going with the Saints in the upset over the Vikings. This game here very much is offense versus defense. The Saints offense versus the Vikings defense. I think Breeze makes more plays than Sam Bradford does check down plays to Dalvin Cook or Stephon Diggs or Kyle Rudolph. I think this could be definitely a good shootout if you own Stephon Diggs in fantasy, Dalvin Cook in fantasy, Kyle Rudolph in fantasy. Plus, you pretty much always are going to start your Saints. Definitely I'd roll with them. I'm personally rolling with Stephon Diggs, but I don't know. I think the Saints, you know, they're traveling to a home environment, like it's inside, so it's, you know, Drew Brees is used to playing inside. I like the Saints in this game for an upset. And then the second game, I'm going with another upset. The Chargers versus the Broncos. I'm going with the Chargers. I think personally, I just feel this game, Chargers are underrated. And I think that the Denver Broncos defense gets gassed because their offense is not going to be able to move the ball. Lots of 3-and-outs I foresee. I think they're still going to struggle to run the ball. Lots of 4-and-outs. The Denver defense is going to get gassed. And there's plenty of weapons here for the Chargers. They get the damn job done. Phillip Rivers is going to limit his turnovers, which is, I guess you could say has been his problem in the years past, even though, I mean, it seems like all his wide receivers go down. I think, you know, this is going to be one of the rare times that the Chargers are going to be relatively full strength. I think they're only missing, what? Perryman, the linebacker, he's good. And they're missing Feeney, the offensive lineman. Outside of that, I think they're pretty good unless I'm missing someone. So Chargers at full strength. I think they're going to be able to work the Denver Broncos in this game for an upset. So, I mean, out of the 10 games, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of them are upsets. So, hey, there you go. You're not just getting, I'm picking all the favorites. Trust me. Hopefully, I'm, you know, sticking my neck out far enough for you. So that is everything for NFL Week 1. Next up, we're going to do our starts and sits for fantasy football and then finish up with your guys' questions from Twitter. All right, so a staple of my channel the last couple years have been my fantasy starts and sits. We've been batting with roughly like an 80% accuracy rate, so we are bringing that. So for those of you guys that have stuck with this for 45 minutes, or you just, you know, cheat your way with the whatever the fuck those things are called, the hot links to the I don't, what the fuck are they called? You know, when you click it, you click the timestamp. Here are your fantasy starts and sits from your boy C4. As always, if you use these starts and sits, you win some money throughout your league. When all is said and done, feel free to donate a little bit back if I helped you out any. We'll go through all your starts and then all the sits. So for the start at quarterback, I like Cam Newton going up against the 49ers. Obviously, Cam Newton, you're a little bit uncertain with how well he played last year, which was not very. But I think the 49ers defense, and with Christian McCaffrey, healthy team relative right now, I would definitely roll with Cam Newton, where he's, we're not going to name automatic, we're not going to say, hey, play Aaron Rodgers, stuff like that. We're trying to go for players that you may be, throwing up in the air, whether keeping them on your bench or playing them. I think I definitely would roll with Cam Newton this week. At running back, in PPR, I would like to see Dalvin Cook against the Saints. I think there's going to be plenty of checkdowns throughout that game. Saints defense is still a work in progress, kind of unknown if they're going to be legit, I'm not going to say legit, serviceable this year, which they haven't even been that in years past. But I like Dalvin Cook's reception potential, plus he's going to be lead back there. So I do like Dalvin Cook. Wide receiver, I'm going Kelvin Benjamin from the Carolina Panthers going up against the 49ers. I really, really like Kelvin Benjamin. I think he's going to ball out this year, and I definitely want a piece of that, especially against, I can't even name the starting corner. Rashad Johnson? What's his fucking name? Rashard Robinson. Go Kelvin Benjamin. You're not going to regret it. For the flex, I'm going Frank Gore against the Rams. The Rams are going to stack the box because, Andrew Luck's not playing. I'm going from a sheer touch opportunity kind of thing, like weighing the opportunity. I think Frank Gore's going to get an ungodly amount of opportunities and touches in this game, even though he's an old man. So before he breaks down, get your use out of Frank Gore. I think this week here against the Rams, it's tough run defense. Maybe Aaron Donald doesn't play, so that can kind of boost his stock a little bit. But I really do like Frank Gore this week as a flex. And then for your defense, I have two defenses. I have the Rams against the Colts, obviously without Andrew Luck playing. The Rams are pretty good defense most times. So I'm rolling with the Rams. I personally picked them up off my waiver wire. I had the Eagles against the Redskins. A little bit uncertain about that. So I'm going to play the Rams this week. Also, the Bills against the Jets. You can pretty much just waiver and stream your defenses against the Jets, and you're going to have a safe bet. Looking at your sits of the week, at quarterback, I have two. I have Ben Roethlisberger against the Cleveland Browns. Ben Roethlisberger last year on the road, I can say as a Ben Roethlisberger owner, was absolutely horrendous, and you may be enticed. Like, oh, you see the Browns. Don't. Obviously there's a chance he does well. It's the Browns. But if you have any other legit option, go with that over Ben Roethlisberger until he proves he can play well on the road. And also Dak Prescott against the Giants. I think, obviously without having Zeke back there, we still assumed McFadden can be serviceable behind that offensive line. But you can't convince me within the 6 weeks without Zeke that they're not going to force Dak to throw the ball more. And throwing the ball more against a really legit secondary in the Giants, look for alternative options. You may get some decent added value with Dak with more rushing yards than they would have without Zeke Elliott in the lineup. But I definitely look elsewhere than Dak. Running back, I'm going Michael Lillsley against the Chiefs just because I pretty much would stay away. Unless you're in PPR and you have James White or really James White, I'd be skeptical of Deion Lewis. Really, you need to see more clarity right now in the Patriots backfield. I'm going to say the Patriots and the Eagles have like the two most confusing backfields. And until you get something that has a little bit more stability than just, they might go with him. I'd probably rest these backs until week 2 or week 3 so you can kind of see a pattern and who's going to lead the backfield in touches. At wide receiver, I'm going Tyreek Hill against the Patriots. It pains me as I own Tyreek Hill in my big money league, but as I said in my predictions, I think the Patriots, which they do better than any team in football, they shut down your number one weapon, and I think they find a way to shut down Tyreek Hill. I mean, maybe if you have to play, look at flex play, especially if you get like points for return yards and punt return touchdowns and stuff like that. Maybe, but personally, I'm going to be sitting Tyreek Hill this week, as much as that sucks. For flex, I'm saying Jacquizz Rodgers against the Miami Dolphins, just because if you're on NFL.com, he's projected to be the 9th/10th highest running back of the week. I don't see that return. Miami's a legit defense. They have a legit front four. And, Cam Wake, you got Ndamukong Suh, you got Kiko Alonso back. I just think Jacquizz Rodgers, all right, he could be like a flex play, but definitely not a top 10 running back this week. That's pretty absurd to me, so don't fall for that. And then for defense special teams, I'm going Bucs against the Dolphins, just because the Bucs defense has fallen flat times before. You have the uncertainty of just what is Jay Cutler going to be able to do with Jarvis Landry, Julius Thomas, Devontae Parker. The uncertainty of what that Dolphins offense could be with how many times the Bucs defense has fallen flat. I would look elsewhere with the Bucs, because I know Bucs defense, they have a lot of momentum this year. A lot of people were kind of sipping that Kool-Aid and drafting the Bucs defense. So I would look elsewhere. Maybe streamline the Bills or the Rams. They're probably on your waiver wire. Look at that this week. And those are your starts and sits. Next, I'm going to pop up my Twitter. Haven't even read any of these questions yet. I think we had 30 notifications. We're going to read through them as they come. If you're a stupid question, I'm going to make your Twitter handle known, and people can kind of clown on you if you want. But let's finish up with your questions, and then let's get out of here because my voice is getting sore. So first question comes from @JJ Benny, who asks, will the Browns be a future juggernaut in the league? If so, why? Potentially. With all that draft picks that they have and the picks that they had this year that I like, David Njoku, Myles Garrett, if Deshaun Watson pans out, or Deshaun Kaiser pans out, certainly, with all those draft picks that they have in the next 2 drafts, if they draft as well as they did this year for those drafts, I'd say within 5 years, the Browns could be competitive, especially looking at the other teams within the division. The Pittsburgh Steelers are getting older. By the time the Browns have all those draft picks entering their prime and getting ready to finally take off year 3, year 4, Antonio Brown's going to be old. Ben Roethlisberger will probably be gone. Le'Veon Bell's going to be at that age. Looking at the Ravens, Flacco's going to be old as shit. The Bengals, AJ Green's going to be old as shit. So I think it's going to, if the draft picks work out, they're going to peak at just the right time where everyone else in the division is kind of going to be going through a rebuild, and they could definitely take an opportunity there. As far as like the league as a whole, I don't know about that, but looking more so at the AFC North, definitely if the timing works out, it could be great things for the Browns ahead, and I know you guys definitely want that. Huddy M21 Hudson asks, Lynch or McCaffrey in fantasy this week? So Marshawn Lynch is going up against the Tennessee Titans, who have run defense. More so the uncertainty will be what Marshawn Lynch is really going to look. How many touches are they going to give him? Versus Christian McCaffrey going against the Niners. Personally, this question, for future reference, if you guys ask fantasy questions, tell me if you're in PPR or non-PPR. I'm going to assume you're in PPR because that's pretty much the standard now. I would roll with Christian McCaffrey in PPR against the 49ers. I think that game's going to be more open than the Raiders and Titans, and there's a little more certainty that they're going to use Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield for sure. He's going to get probably, you'd figure, 4 to 5 receptions plus 10 carries versus the uncertainty of Marshawn Lynch right now. That I would go with McCaffrey. If it's PPR, if it's not PPR, I probably would roll with Marshawn Lynch because he will be the lead back. Just, we don't know how many touches it will be. Christian at AK Easy Geist 23 said, will the lack of depth at wide receiver hurt the Seahawks, or can they live off their defense like they did when they won Super Bowl 48? So I'm really surprised that they cut Kason Williams. I thought he was going to be the guy that steps in and replaces Jermaine Kearse. You still got Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin is legit. You also got to kind of include Jimmy Graham there as a weapon. I wouldn't say they have an utter lack of wide receiver depth. I wouldn't look at the depth chart of the Seahawks and go, wow, those guys suck. They got Darboh too, the guy from Michigan. I think there's enough weapons there, but I get what you're saying. There's not enough superstars. It feels like more often than not they always try to go defense, as you can tell by their picks where they got Malik McDowell as their first draft pick when there's so many other issues and pressing issues on offense. But again, I don't think wide receiver depth for the Seahawks is your big worry. It's still that offensive line. It's still protecting Russell Wilson. I don't see it being that much better. Plus, has anyone really emerged in their backfield? Chris Carson was like the best running back it looked like in preseason. He's, what, the 5th back behind Eddie Lacy, Thomas Rawls, CJ Procise. If I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm still more worried about that offensive line, and that's kind of like beating a dead horse, worrying about the Seahawks offensive line. I know you've heard it way too many times. Ty Tucker at Ty Tucker 123 asks, "Hey, read a recent mock draft that had the Eagles taking Ronald Jones III. Thoughts?" Absolutely. I think running back, it's still early. This is real early because with the uncertainty of the Eagles running back spot, we don't know if Wendell Smallwood's going to emerge in anything. We know, Sproles is done after this year. Blunt probably won't be back. So a running back are going to look like probably next year on the roster. We're going to have Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, Donnell Pumphrey. Unless Corey Clement shows something, running back's probably going to be a pretty pressing need for us unless we really want to go after like Jeremy Hill or someone like that in free agency. So personally, you look towards the draft. And as much as Saquon Barkley would be perfect, that's pretty much a pipe dream. The Eagles' worst case scenario, I think, is like 6 wins, and that's not going to be a high enough pick to get Saquon Barkley unless we move up. Darius Geis probably is still going to be a little unrealistic, but much more realistic than Saquon Barkley. So I think the names, definitely a Ronald Jones, Royce Freeman, Kalen Bailedge. Those are probably going to be the 3 running backs that are going to be on a lot of Eagle fans' minds once we know where our draft position is. Definitely would take Ronald Jones. As much as I hate USC players, especially offensive USC players, he's good, man. He's legit. Great vision, good size, good speed, good power. I'd be all for that. I think, look at the Eagles draft, running back, tackle, corner, maybe linebacker. Those are the big 4 positions that we're going to need, and I think pulling the trigger in the first round of running back would not be the worst idea that the Philadelphia Eagles could do. Another question, Mr. Candane, a.k.a. at The Ultimate Dudes. What are the Browns going to do this year? I've been asked this question quite a few times in the stream. I just feel 5 wins, between 3 to 5 wins, definitely much better than the 1 win that they had a year ago. They're trending in the right direction. I just see a guy like Deshaun Kaiser as a work in progress, and I can't say with any confidence that the Browns are going to win more than 5 games with him at QB. The only way that they can win more than 5, or how they get to 5, will be if they have an elite run game, which they could have. I mean, they invested a lot of money in the offensive line. Crowell, Duke Johnson, those are pretty serviceable running backs. But, I mean, you just worry that if Kaiser has some learning curves, they kind of take the Rams approach that they had last year, where the teams knew Goff wasn't going to beat them, so they just stacked the box to stop Todd Gurley. I could see a lot of that happening against the Browns. But, definitely an improved Browns. I think the Browns might finish better than the Niners. I think when you look at the bottom teams, I think the Browns, in my opinion, are better than the Niners and the Jets this year. So that's pretty good. At Ice, who is at Straight Ice 7, how long will it take the 49ers to rebuild with Kyle Shanahan? 3 years, 4 years. I think Shanahan's a good QB, good coach, good QB mind, good offensive mind. Defense should be coming along if they can replace Navarro Bowman, who's obviously going to get pretty old. The line's looking pretty decent. Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas. So I'd say 3 years. Let him get a QB next year in the draft. I mean, hopefully Carlos Hyde pans out, so you really get your quarterback. You can get wide receivers in free agency in the draft. Pretty much have to rebuild that offensive line. I mean, looking at the offensive line, maybe Trent Brown, Josh Garnett. You might have 2 guys that are serviceable starters there. You got to get a T. And, there's still a lot of uncertainty. I'll be more clear after this year, but I'm going to say base 3 seasons. But they have some pieces there. At Dave TRW, Darby thoughts now that the season is here upon us. Same with Jordan here in Buffalo. I think Darby's going to be kind of the same that he was in Buffalo, hit and miss. Big weeks, some bad weeks. That's what he is. That's what a guy is that relies on speed. But it's better than what we had. And, speed is nice. He can keep up with Odell. That's what I want to see. He might have some trouble with Dez and jump balls and stuff like that. But he can keep up with Odell. That's good enough for me. And with Jordan Matthews in Buffalo, I mean, I still feel like Zay Jones is the best wide receiver there. But Matthews, he's serviceable. He'll get you probably 700 yards, 5, 6 touchdowns. He'll be serviceable. I don't expect the Bills to re-sign him, though. Cooper, who is at Hey, It's Spartan. Will the Cowboys beat the Giants with Zeke playing? Well, I assume that means that you watched this somehow, and you heard that I said the Giants were going to win. If the Cowboys had Zeke, I would say yes. I would say they'd be able to run the game, control the clock. They would have to force Dak Prescott to throw the ball more than he's comfortable, and, more so. It'd still be close. Like I said, the big thing about that game is still the Cowboys pass rush trying to go against the Giants offensive line. The fact that those 2 shit lines and shit units will negate each other. It's always going to be a close game, but I think if Zeke was in there, I probably would go with Dallas. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it for the questions. So that will do it here. Just under an hour, which is exactly what I was kind of, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want this to be like 30 minutes. But it's a debut episode, so hopefully I get the timestamps in, which makes it a little bit more watchable. We're shooting for like at least 3,000 views, which is gonna be tough on something that's just fucking an hour long. But this, yeah, episode 4, but really episode 1 of the new format here in the C4 podcast. Still a working title, I guess. If you want to shoot in a name suggestion, if you think of something better, feel free to do that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Looking for your feedback as always on literally everything that you heard here today. This is your first time stopping by. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying, thank God football's here. God bless Canada.